can a figure who has isolated himself, does not speak to the media, and hasn't come out of his simple house for years, can be the most influential figure in Iraq today and the marja of the Shias? This is a question that has long been a mystery for the analysts. Marja. It was on the eve of his 31st birthday that he received permission for absolute ijtihad from his two masters, Ayatollah and Sheikh Hussein Hilli. Ayatollah owned a wide network of agencies and scientific centers, which after his demise were trusted to Ayatollah Sistani, and thus he found a special place among Shia communities. Over the years, he has taken no steps to gain more power. Furthermore, he has opposed the formation of a movement in his name by his supporters, banning the installation of his images on pulpits and public places, and the naming of complexes, schools, and hospitals after him. To a question in this regard, he has replied, "I do not like this and I would never agree to it." In the religious and ethnic diversity of Iraq and its complex political geography, he never favored any party or group and always maintained his independence of opinion and action. It was this independence from parties and governments, along with his simple management structure and transparent financial transactions, that enabled Ayatollah Sistani to stand by the people and support them by taking a strong stand against corruption, economic problems, and political havocs. Perhaps the most important element of his political ideology is the power of the public opinion in Iraqi politics. Ayatollah Sistani's ideal society is based on the effective participation of people in socio-political developments and opposes the idea of the influence of governmental institutions and the opinion of religious figures. Together with the fall of Saddam, the authority of the Sunni groups was annihilated and the ground became suitable for the revengeful actions of the Shias. It was in that dire time that Ayatollah Sistani charged the Iraqi government with the security and safety of the Iraqi people, regardless of their racial, religious, or intellectual affiliation. He stated that the peaceful dialogue and coexistence between Shias and Sunnis was the only solution to the disputes. For many years, the American troops were deployed in Iraq. However, he refused to have any contacts with them, to the extent that the American newspaper Washington Post wrote, Sayyid Ali Sistani not only did not receive George W. Bush or any of the American commanders in Iraq, but he controls them like a puppet. At the same time, the Al-Hawza newspaper, which published Muqtada Sadr's statements and taken positions, was banned. This incident marked the beginning of a military clash between Jaish al-Mahdi militants and U.S. forces in Iraq. American tanks entered Karbala and the city of Najaf was besieged. The militants of Jaish al-Mahdi made their stand in the holy shrine of Imam Ali, peace be upon him, and therefore the conflicts reached the shrine. The shrine received some damages and many of the militants and civilians were killed. The Americans and the Iraqi government were unable to resolve the crisis. Eventually, with the mediation of Ayatollah Sistani and the peaceful resolution of the issue, this dispute ended and he was given the managing responsibility of the Shrine of Najaf and the Kufa Mosque. Following this incident, the UAE newspaper Al-Khalij acknowledged, while the American occupiers and the government of Ayat Alawi were helpless in resolving the crisis, Ayatollah Sistani showed that the Shia authority is the most powerful and influential side in Iraq. Years later, with the fall of Mosul to the hands of ISIS, the Iraqi army failed to halt their advance towards the center and south of the country, and the situation in Iraq was considered out of control and critical. To help save lives, Sayyid Ali Sistani wrote a letter to people from his humble house and stated, accordingly, all citizens who are capable of carrying weapons, fighting terrorists, and defending their country and nation are required to volunteer to join the military. These few simple lines of the man who had stood by Iraqi people for many years in the bitter and sweet days, and the courage of the Iraqi youth who believed in him, brought the end of the largest terrorist group in history and millions of dollars invested by the Americans. This triumph rendered the Jihad order of Sayyid Ali Sistani immortal in the history of Shia.